we often, instead of blaming the system, instead of blaming the gym culture, instead of blaming the diet culture and the fitness industry, we often blame ourselves. We say that it's because so often I hear things like, oh, I'm not athletic. I'm not a gym person. I don't like exercise. In reality, it's because we've been presented with a broken solution. And I think all of us have that inner child inside of us that over time we've had the opinions of other people and societal expectation to not embrace what comes naturally to us, as we want to achieve what's known as food habitualizations. I think that's part of what I mean when I say that I love to work with women who are sick of making themselves smaller. So much of our world is missing out on the voices of women and the laughter of women and the ideas and the thoughts and the opinions. And so I use movement as a way.
So tell me more about what you do, because I'm really interested in this. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, so I got started when I'd been working in, well, actually, I'll go back one step further. So I got started in fitness. It wasn't always what I wanted to do. It came about through, I took a Zumba class that really opened my eyes to what movement could be. Up until that point, I was in my early 20s. And up until that point, movement only had one role, and that was making yourself smaller and really like punishing your body. It was something that I never really found fun. I did because I had to do or felt because I thought I should do. And then I took this Zumba class, and it was the first time that I experienced joy, especially as an adult when I was moving. And at the same time, I experienced such a powerful connection with this group of women from all different backgrounds and all different ages, and that's what really inspired me. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to give to other women. I want to be able to provide that same kind of really safe, positive, powerful experience. And the more that I worked in fitness, the more that I experienced gym culture, the
Yeah.
more I realized that it wasn't really working for the women who were coming to my classes. And there was this disconnect between what actually makes us feel good and what most gyms are promoting. There's this story that I like to tell that was my kind of aha moment that I was working for a big box gym and I wanted to hold a little holiday party and collaborate. I was inviting all the other instructors who taught there, and we were going to co-teach, and I was going to buy prizes with my own money just as a way to say thank you to all the participants and just have a really lovely time. And they said I wasn't allowed to put up posters to promote that, even though it was like no cost. They said I wasn't allowed to put up posters. And then that same week, I saw all these handmade posters go up that were photos of very heroin chic women in bikinis that one of the male trainers was using to promote his sessions. And I remember just thinking, like, how broken of a system is this where I'm trying to celebrate women and celebrate their bodies and celebrate the way that they've shown up to classes, and that's not allowed, versus shaming women and putting this pressure on them to look a certain way in order to sell products was encouraged. And I was like, okay, things have to be done differently. So that's really the way that I approach fitness now is can we put women at the center, and not just women, but can we put a respect for our bodies at the center? Can we put that air of celebration, that movement is about celebrating our bodies, that it's about connecting with one another, it's about building community at the center of what we do rather than it just being a kind of annoyance.
That's it. Oh, definitely. No, that's brilliant because we do, and with social media and like advertising, it's everywhere. It's in your face, isn't it? And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't want it shoved in your face, and you if you're trying and trying and getting nowhere, it just demotivates you even more, and you think, why
Mm.
do I bother when movement is essential for your well-being.
Hmm.
So, but it can have the opposite effect when you see things like that.
Yeah, and I think that there's this um there's this kind of notion that when the traditional model doesn't work, this idea of pushing yourself and using exercise as a way to change your body and using exercise as a form of punishment and shaming ourselves as the best kind of motivation and focusing on willpower and determination and dominance over our bodies. For so many of us, we've tried that for so long and
Yeah.
generally not gotten results, especially when we look at long-term, sustainable, consistent results. If it worked, many of us would be incredibly athletic and fit. And yet, we often, instead of blaming the system, instead of blaming the gym culture, instead of blaming the diet culture and the fitness industry, we often blame ourselves. We say that it's because so often I hear things like, "Oh, I'm not athletic. I'm not a gym person. I don't like exercise," um, or feeling that they're lazy, that they're lazy, that they don't have the motivation, and yet in reality, it's because we've been presented with a broken solution. And in reality, what really works is finding movement that you enjoy, learning how to listen to your body, learning and valuing different kinds of rest, learning and valuing different ways to motivate ourselves. And building in that sense of community as well so that you're not trying to do it alone.
Yeah, community is great as well if you've got somebody there who is enjoying what they're doing as well and motivate each other. And I
Hmm.
think that's really important because where I live, I don't really know anyone. And I've seen, I when I was younger, my coordination was excellent. And I went to, oh dear, I went to a Zumba class last year and I was so excited. And there's a huge hall, loads of us, because I love to dance. And they had obviously been going for months and knew all the steps and everything. And I just was there and I felt like a complete idiot. So I kept looking at
Oh.
my watch and then I just left. And that's not like me at all. Because as I said, I love to dance. But I think I needed that smaller group and like a starter so I could get used to the steps and everything.
Hmm.
But I haven't been back since. It put me off straight away, which is such a shame because
Hmm.
it's something I love to do. So
Hmm. And in that case, I really hope that you don't blame yourself. I think it's really, again, it's really easy to say, oh, well, it was because you didn't know the steps or you weren't coordinated. And in reality, it sounds like that just wasn't the right fit for you. It wasn't anything that you did wrong or it wasn't anything that you didn't do good enough. And so
yeah,
because I feel like for many of us, that's what happens is we have these negative experiences. And instead of looking at it from a kind of objective point of view, we end up really internalizing that and blaming ourselves, which of course, that's gonna demotivate us, right? Like we're very hedonistic creatures. We want to seek out experiences that feel good, not the ones that make us feel bad. And I think that's what
yeah,
I love the most about. So everything I do now is online. And when I used to have a studio, and I was really nervous when I moved online about how was that community feel going to work in a virtual space. And what I love the most about it is I think it's really opened up a lot more safety and comfort because you're not around hordes of people. You're in the comfort of your own home. You're where you already feel safe and you get to really take it at your own pace. There's nobody next to you, so there's no comparison, and yet there's still people there who see you and care about you and can interact with you. And so it's a really great starting point if gyms feel really intimidating or if it feels overwhelming, like too big of a step. It's a really nice alternative to have of being able to do it at home.
Oh, amazing. Do you have, you said about like community, have you got somewhere where you sort of meet offline as well and chat or?
Yeah, so we have both different kinds of ways to connect. So we have a Facebook community, which is really active as a way that when we're not kind of actively moving as a way for people to connect. And that's where I love watching is, people share their wins and it could be small things like sharing their finished, crochet project, which I love. Or they also share really tough moments when, somebody made a comment about their body and so looking for support or looking for that advice or camaraderie. And then I also do some in-person things. Like I had my first in-person retreat this past November, which was a
Wow.
wonderful experience of being able to have that kind of take those online relationships and being able to experience them in person as well.
It's amazing. I think we've got so much to be grateful for with things going online. I know for a long time we had no choice and we didn't like not seeing other people. And it's so important that we have that one-to-one interaction with others. But now it's just given us so many more opportunities of, I
Mhm.
mean, I'm going on a podcasting cruise next year in America. And
What?
unless I was doing all this, I wouldn't have ever dreamt that I would be doing that.
That's
And
amazing.
it's just fantastic. So
Yeah.
we have been lucky. And did people come from a long way to you?
Yeah, and what I was going to say too is it's so powerful when I mean, I'm sure you're going to experience this on the cruise too when you are connecting with people who are doing similar things and who are on the same journey and there's so much power in that as well, especially when you're dealing with feelings of shame or feelings of insecurity of being able to meet people who are halfway around the world who are able to say like, "Oh, me too." And who can relate to what you're going through is a really powerful experience. So yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Oh,
And my
wow.
my brain always goes like I'm so grateful and my first response is like we like when I have somebody join in from somewhere far away, I'm always like, wow, like you trust me? That's so I'm so flattered. So it's still pretty cool and novel to me at this point.
Yeah, it's great. I absolutely love it. Um, yeah, so what was I going to say? My head's just there now. I just think it's fantastic. Everyone getting together. It's just
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so are you planning your next one already?
I was planning the next one like as soon as I finished the first one.
Brilliant.
But I'm actually the next one I'm planning is I have a friend who is she also lives two lives. She's a burlesque dancer and she's also um a women's empowerment coach. So we're kind of teaming up to do a really like cool like body trust day where it's all about learning how to be in your body and experiencing and we're going to bring in some like embodied dance and it's going to be a good time. So
Amazing.
that's going to be the next one, I think.
Oh, that just sounds just right up my alley. And I love burlesque. I think it's such an
Yeah.
art. I think it's just amazing.
Yeah, and it
Um,
aligns so well of just, that idea of being at home in your skin and also that playfulness. I love to bring that into fitness, the idea of not taking it so seriously and allowing yourself to I often say allowing yourself to experience the joy of sucking at something and just, ha having a good laugh and experiencing that kind of lightheartedness, I think is also really important. So it blends her work and my work blend really well, which I love.
Perfect. Yeah, it sounds it. I mean, I love to dance and but it's something I always did when I was drinking and I put my music on and I'd dance and I'd just be so happy. But if I do it when I'm sober, my husband looks at me and he goes, grow up. Sit down, grow up. But I love it. And And at the end of the day, it's exercise. And when I'm sat down all day, it's really needed.
Yeah. And I think all of us have that inner child inside of us that over time we've had the opinions of other people and societal expectations that have told us to be quiet or to to sit down or to not move and to not embrace, what comes naturally to us. And I think that's part of what I mean when I say that I love to work with women who are sick of making themselves smaller. I think that we all do that in small ways throughout our life where you know, we don't dance or we feel shame about dancing or we, don't let ourselves laugh loud or don't let ourselves wear that thing.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart whenever I hear stories of that because I think that so much of our world is missing out on the voices of women and the laughter of women and the ideas and the thoughts and the opinions. And so I use movement as a way that, yes, it's about getting exercise and feeling healthy and feeling good in your body, but so much of it is also finding that confidence and recognizing your worth so that you can go out and dance in your living room with abandon or wear the thing, wear the bikini to the beach, wear the crop top when the weather's warm. But also more important things like I have women who have applied for promotions, as a result of being in our community because they finally feel confident and ready to be seen and to be heard. Or, applying for new jobs or applying for leadership roles or political roles. Those are all things that I think that are so, so important and what really matters most.
Yeah, and it does give you confidence. I mean, even the way you stand, isn't it? You can feel the confidence when you stand because I'm terrible. My posture is just awful. But there is a real sense of confidence when you stand correctly and really feel it, really embrace
Mhm.
it. It makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, and I think when you can see so much of our lives, we're told to focus on how our body looks as a woman, and that's where the value is how desirable we are, how attractive we are, whether or not we fit the mold of desirability. And when movement allows you to start to see the value in your body, that's more about what your body can do rather than what it looks like. And I think that that's a real confidence boost is when you feel stronger. Yeah, your posture, you sit up taller, your posture is better. You do physically take up more space, but then you also feel more confident in what you're able to do and confident in what you're able to accomplish. And watching that shift happen is a really cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, do you see people like coming in being all quiet and shy and did you see them grow?
Yeah, it's the best, especially even um so with our virtual classes, you there's no pressure. You can have your camera off. And I love when many people will come in and start with having their cameras off. And then ever so slowly, one day it'll be okay, their camera's on, but they're far away. And then all of a sudden their camera's on and they're participating and
Amazing.
they're commenting and they're, unmuting themselves and saying things to the group. And those are the moments that I love too, is that you're like, yes, you're
Oh,
ready to be
wow.
seen. I'm so proud.
Yeah, because that's a big step, isn't it?
hmm
You still see people that won't turn their cameras on or for anything really, even
hmm
meetings or chats with friends where I think it's taken me a lot of years, but now I don't care, I me and I always felt that I had to dress a certain way and the
hmm
jobs that I had and things like that. But now I don't care. And I've gone from being sort of dressing average every day to now I'm either in my ripped jeans that I love and my hoodie and I feel comfortable and I'm happy. Or when I go out, I dress. I put a dress on, and I wouldn't do that for years. You would never see my legs. But I think it's with age, I just don't care anymore. And if I think I look good, whatever, I don't care.
That's great. I mean, isn't that the goal though of like both, I love how you phrased it, of both comfort, but also what makes you feel good and what makes you feel attractive and happy and joyful and confident and all of those things. So that's what's important. I'm the same way. I feel like I'm either, well, I do live my life mostly in fitness clothes. And then when I'm not, I do love to dress up a little bit. And I always get jokes and comments that if I see students out in the real world,
Yeah,
I'll joke is that sometimes they don't recognize me because they're like, "Well, where's your leggings?"
yeah.
And or like when my hair's down and not pulled back into a ponytail or something like that.
That's it. Oh, wow. So, what else do you do? Because I know you do a number of different things, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm a body image coach as well. So I work with women on the mindset piece of how to as I said, to learn about things like body trust, to how to heal their relationship. Part of that is mindful eating. So, how to heal their relationship with food and ditch that diet mentality, and to really step out of the shame and the struggle. So that kind of came about from working in fitness and seeing some of the struggles that women had. And you can't really, there's a limit to what you can do in a fitness class, and there's a need to have other kinds of conversations and do other kinds of work to really feel the way that you want to feel. So that's kind of the other part of what I do as well.
Ah, amazing. I've read a lot about mindful eating, and it's something that I haven't looked into further. But also because I'm writing a book at the moment, and I've been researching about how your food looks on the plate and your
Mm,
portion sizes and everything. So not diets and so much of this, that, and the other, but just making it look attractive and wanting to eat it, and then
hmm.
being that mindful, having that mindfulness while you're eating. Um, and it always reminds me of my husband. He's not like it now, but when I met him, he said it was because he grew up in a family of like six children. So the plate goes down and it's gone. I said, just
Yeah.
chew, just chew, And he
Yeah.
never, I said, you can't taste your food because you just swallow it. So he's much better now. But yeah, he said if there was anything left on your plate when one of the other kids had finished eating, it was gone. So
Yeah. Yeah, and many of us grow up with that. One of the ways that we refer to that as a food scarcity mindset is that idea that for many reasons, I know that's the kind of household. I only had one brother, but he was a big eater when I was little, and it was same thing. If I didn't eat it quick, he was going to have the rest of it. So I had to deal with healing that mindset as well. But it can also be from a lot of other reasons, like growing up in a socioeconomic household where there wasn't enough food can be another one where there was real food scarcity, but also dieting creates food scarcity. If your parents strictly controlled what you ate, or again, if you grew up knowing, okay, some foods are good, some foods are bad, and those bad foods weren't as available,
yeah,
it creates this mentality that because those foods are scarce, because they're not readily available to us when they are available, or when food in general is available, yeah, we want to scarf it down and eat really quickly, or ignore those natural body signals of when we're full, because our body is in that survival mode where the goal is just to get enough food to eat. And there's this fear that there won't be enough food, or there might be enough food now, but there won't be enough food later. So
yeah,
that's a really big, and kudos to your husband and for you for helping him work on that, because that's a really big thing to heal and to get out of that scarcity mindset, and to really have your body feel safe and to know, okay, there is enough food. I don't need to I don't need to be fearful around this. I can relax and trust and just as you said, just enjoy and taste my food.
I haven't conquered it with him with the packet of biscuits yet. He doesn't share and he eats them all, but I'll let him
Mhm.
have his biscuits.
Well, one of the best ways to work on that is something in mindful eating we talk about is giving yourself unconditional permission to eat. And what that often means is for things like biscuits or anything that was is those like forbidden foods, those guilty pleasures, if you will, is giving yourself permission to have them around. Like often in dieting, we hear that mentality, right? Of well, don't have it in the house. Don't have it in the house, don't have it around you because you can't control yourself or because you're going to eat it all. And mindful eating kind of promotes the opposite is we want to achieve what's known as food habitualization. So food becoming normal and becoming not this kind of taboo, forbidden item that you're not supposed to have versus it's just there. It's there if you want it. And therefore, it becomes less tempting, less exciting, less. Uh, Less this thing that you have to eat right away that you feel out of control around because you've given yourself permission that it's okay to eat it. So that's a really good place to start.
That makes a lot of sense because I hear a lot of people say like um when they've given up smoking that they've got that one just there because it makes them feel safe that there is one there, that sort of
Mm-hmm.
backup. But if they had none, then they would start to panic. So I suppose it can be a similar thing to that, knowing it's there if you
Mm.
want it. So rather than it
Yeah.
just being banned from the house.
Yeah, exactly. And because of the way that our psychology works, as soon as you make something forbidden, that increases the likelihood that that's going to be all that you think about that a kind of obsessive thinking until you fulfill that craving. So the goal is to just yeah have it feel a little bit more boring and not so taboo, not so exciting.
Yeah, it makes a lot
And
of
then giving
sense.
yourself permission to have the joy when you eat it as well. Of like, okay, if I'm gonna
Yeah.
have the biscuits, let me like really savor and enjoy and feel the pleasure of eating the biscuits.
Yeah, I always think that. Have you ever seen I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? I don't know if they show it
No.
in Canada. So um it's celebrities go out to the jungle in Australia and they're there for like 2, 3 weeks. They're there for
Oh,
quite a long
wow.
time. And their diet is beans, beans and rice. No salt, no flavoring, no nothing. If they win challenges, they might get some meat and some
Hmm.
vegetables to go with it, but they're all just craving salt or just a bit of sweetness. And if they win certain challenges, they might get like half a marshmallow as a prize. And you can
Wow.
see them just eat it, taking a little bite so slowly. And you can really see the pleasure and them savoring it. So
Hmm.
always think of mindful eating when I see that because it brings such joy to them for this little tiny bit of sugar or biscuit or anything like that. And it sort of makes you think that we do take things for granted that we have got this stuff and they're just savoring it. It's quite an emotional thing to see on their face.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the ways that we can celebrate that abundance of and experience that gratitude is again just allowing yourself to have it when you want it and recognizing that it's learning how to provide yourself with that comfort of I'm not in this survivor situation. I can have the sweetness and the salt when I want it, and it's okay, and comforting yourself and comforting those fears that come up.
Amazing. And what's your thoughts as it's that time of New Year's resolutions?
It is. It is. Yeah.
I'm not a fan. I believe that they set you up for failure, but
Hmm.
don't know. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I think that I do really, especially right now with the energy of the new year, and we just did a vision board workshop recently in the community, and it kind of took place at the same time as when we were in the waxing moon phase here, and both of those come with that kind of energy of new routines and new habits and new projects. So I definitely always feel that in January, that desire to kind of take stock and look at where I am and where I want to be. I think that with any goals that you set, first of all, there's no need to wait. January 1st is super arbitrary, right?
Yeah.
So there's no need to wait until that time. And I think with all of goals, we want them to be really intentional and realistic and to set you up for success. So I think there's nothing necessarily wrong with resolutions. I think where the bad stuff comes in and where the we set ourselves up to fail is when we think, okay, um, it's called the Last Supper effect. When we say, okay, the diet starts tomorrow, or the crazy intense fitness plan starts tomorrow, and I'm never gonna have XYZ. I'm never going to have the biscuits. I'm never, no downtime. I'm only going to exercise. It's when we create those all or nothing resolutions that I think they can be much more harmful than they are positive.
Yeah. And I think with people in recovery as well, it's having to give up alcohol is a massive thing. And so they need to find their dopamine and everything from other sources. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, movement and exercise and having fun, laughter, it's all naturally releases it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really, really needed in it when you're in recovery, especially early recovery. Um, you need a reason to smile and laugh and have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially when there can be so much power in when you set realistic expectations for yourself where it's not going to be fun on every single day, or often I get people who say, okay, well, you're a fitness instructor. You must love exercise, or you must, feel motivated to exercise all the time. And I'm like, no, far from it. Like, I definitely have lots of moments where I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to teach tonight, or whatever it is. But I try to really teach my clients that motivation is often an action, not necessarily a feeling. So it's often, I feel motivated once I start exercising, once I actually like show up and start moving. And it's okay to not feel motivated to start, and it's also okay to take days off. And I think that when we're realistic with ourselves, it makes us much more likely to be successful and way more likely to want to show up.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I see I completely get that because the word exercise or gym or anything like that, I just think, oh, but as soon as I start, I get so much enjoyment from it. And the way I used to do it with the gym was I would go to the gym when the rugby was on because I love watching the rugby. So I knew that the rugby would be on for like 2 hours. So I'd sit on the machines and watch the rugby while I was exercising. So the time just flew by. Um, so that was a really good way for me. But it was getting out that front door, especially
Mm.
this time of year when with the snow and the rain and the wind. But now it's you've got to open the laptop, which is not half as difficult, but it's
Oh,
still that what motivation can we get just to open the laptop and do it?
yeah.
It's
I yeah,
really
I mean, one of
difficult.
the things that we do in our community is we have 5-minute workouts. And the initial response for many people is like, well, 5 minutes, like, what's that going to do? And it really is amazing what you can do in 5 minutes. And there's something about that number that makes it's easy to convince yourself that you can do something for 5 minutes. And so
Yeah.
that's often where I tell people to start is like, just do 5 minutes. And that's, and if you hate it and if you're done after 5 minutes, then you're done and you at least did something for the day.
Yeah.
But most of the time they'll tell me, no, I started with 5 minutes and then I was feeling good and I was moving. So I did, a second 5 minute video or I turned on a 10-minute video afterwards. And I love hearing that. But that's a really easy way to convince yourself to do something is to start really small.
I love that. It's completely doable. That I always think, where am I going to fit it in? And especially when I've got podcasts back to back or whatever, and my husband wants dinner and this, that, and the other, you think, where am I going to fit it in? 5 minutes, I can fit in. And
Hmm.
then, as you said, if I'm feeling good, I've still got half an hour to a podcast or whatever, I can just continue.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing.
And as I said, it's wild. I have people tell me all the time they'll turn on like one of my 5 minute cardio videos and they're like, I was sweating. And I was like, yeah, you were. It's amazing that like 5 minutes you can feel it.
Yeah. And so much better than nothing.
Exactly. And I think that's what's important to focus on is on many days 5 minutes is more than enough. And that's okay. I think that there's so many recommendations that focus on longer durations, right? That say we should get at least 30 minutes a day or even the fitness industry and diet culture often tell us that it's not worth it unless it's an hour. But for many of us, that's hard. That's really challenging, especially if you've got little kids at home, especially if you work full time. And as you said, like if you're going to an in-person gym, there's travel time on top of that, and there's dealing with the weather or scraping off your car, and
Yeah.
it makes fitness not as accessible. And versus if we give ourselves permission and if we value all different kinds of movement and recognize the value that even short little bits of movement have, then it makes fitness so much more accessible and removes a lot of those barriers for us.
Fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. So tell me where we can find you.
So I'm most present on Instagram and it's at Loyobofit. That's LOYOBOFIT. But I'd also love to offer your listeners, I have a free 5-day confidence course that they can get at www.loyobofit.com/free5. And it's a great way to get started and to start to do this work of changing your story when it comes to your body and starting to feel more confident in your skin.
Oh, that is amazing. Absolutely. And I will be having a look after this podcast. Definitely.
We'll have to get you on a trial so you can come dance with me.
Yeah. I've got to. 'Cause it's so daft because I love it so much. It's one of the. I always wanted to be a dancer when I was a kid as well.
Yeah.
It's something I brings me so much happiness, and I just don't do it anymore.
I
I
think
will
you'd
if
love
there's like,
actually. I have these two classes that we have a sister community as well that is in the UK. So I have two classes that have a lot of people in the UK who come because the timing just works. And they're
right.
these 15-minute dance classes. And it's not a ton of choreo. It's mostly just like great music. And I show some kind of ideas for movements and allow people to take it from there. And it's a blast.
Oh, amazing. I
Mhm.
went on a little retreat, a business retreat last year, and we had a lady there, and she teaches like Indian dancing.
Mhm.
And she just started, and then she just got us just to continue a move with our body, however we
Yeah.
felt. And there was like
Oh,
12
I
of
love
us
that.
just walking around, and it was just so lovely, just stretching and moving. It was
Yes.
great. And
Yeah.
it
Especially
wasn't
when
for
you give
long,
yourself
but you feel
permission
good.
just to move. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we
Mhm.
were amongst friends. It didn't matter what we looked like. We were all
Mhm.
laughing,
Mhm.
but we were
Yeah.
laughing with each other, not at each other. It
Yeah.
was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and because
So,
of the joy of just moving and dancing.
yeah, absolutely. Well,
Hmm.
you've made my day. You really have. And
Oh.
see, even talking about it, makes me smile, and so I've just got to do it instead of talking about it.
We'll aim for those 5 minutes to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. And please keep in touch. And if you're doing anything, please let me know and I will get it out to the world on this side. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, anything you're
Yeah.
doing, just shoot it over to me and I'll put it out.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Right, I'm heading over to your website now.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your day.
And you take care.
Bye.
Bye.